John Wawrow now up with us from the Associated Press. He covers the Buffalo Bills and has been covering for a very, very long time. So he's been through a lot with this franchise, and let's welcome him to our show. Haven't talked to John in a while. Good morning, John. How are you?
Hey, Roger. You always call me after a loss. But then again, the Bills do lose a lot.
They do lose, but they had won 4 in a row. So let me start there. How much of a concern is it the way they played yesterday and the way their defense played? Couldn't stop the run yesterday, losing in Miami. Did that one surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge concern. That was a game that they can't lose. Miami was struggling. Sure, they came off a big win against Pittsburgh, but the fact that they couldn't stop Ajayi was just remarkable, given the fact that their run stopping ability had been very stout this entire season, except for maybe Matt Forte, who got 100 yards and a couple of scores on him. But you thought that, this defense had turned things around after that primetime debacle against the Jets. This was, and it was a concern on both sides of the ball. Now you got the Patriots coming in with Tom Brady, and then they travel to Seattle for a Monday night game, and then their bye week. So there is realistically the prospect of them being 4-5 by the time they get to the bye week, because, they just unraveled yesterday.
All week we heard, John, that McCoy, Shady, wasn't going to play, and then he played 11 yards on 8 carries and left in the third. I mean, why did he play, and what was it? Was it a bad idea in retrospect here to have him even in the game yesterday?
Well, I mean, there was one report out there that said he wasn't going to play, but there were a number of reports that said he was day-to-day. And the fact is, there was a good indication that there was a 50-50 chance he was going to play and going to be a game-time decision. Now, what they did, whether to play him or not, it's a tough call, because I don't know what the injury actually is. No one really knows. And the fact that they cleared him to play was the team's decision and LaShawn's decision. LaShawn, however, did acknowledge after the game that, maybe he should have rested this thing, but it still doesn't explain how the Bills' offensive line was really pushed around by what was a bad Miami run defense. They couldn't even, the fact that they used, it's like he was running into a wall. Sure, his hamstring was probably bothering him and he left the game, but given the fact that they knew LaShawn might not have been entirely 100%, why they didn't use Mike Gillislee, his backup, more often in the first half was a big question mark.
Hey, John, Zach By joining Roger in studio this morning. How badly, in your estimation, are the Bills missing Marcell Dareus? You mentioned yesterday how they could not stop the run. That's what Dareus does. He's an all-pro there in the middle. What are you hearing on when he's going to return?
My expectation, with him, he's also got a hamstring injury, and those things also take about 3 weeks. I would certainly expect him to start practicing, if not this week, then maybe next week. It's depending on the severity of the injury, but he's been working out. He says he's getting closer, but they didn't miss him, during their 4-game win streak, and they didn't miss him entirely against Baltimore. They probably missed him against the Jets, but they've been doing well without him, given how their linebackers are. Sure, they miss him, but depended all on Marcell. They sure could have used him yesterday, but depended all on him is overlooking the fact that their run defense was very good, even without him, and there were just way too many missed tackles yesterday.
So, John, where do we stand with the Bills then? I mean, we start the year that they get off to a tough start. We have Rex Ryan, at least we did. We had some fun with whether he was going to make it through the season. Then he fires the O coordinator. Then things get going. All of a sudden, 4 wins in a row. This is the year they're going to make the playoffs. Then we get to yesterday. Not good. Now New England's coming in. I mean, where are we with this Buffalo Bills team right now? And you've covered this team and franchise for a very long time.
Well, I mean, we've seen this story before, where the Bills get off to a 4-2 or 5-1 start and miss the playoffs, which has happened twice before during this drought. They need to get to 10 wins. Maybe they can get to 9, but can they get to 10 wins here given their schedule? It's possible. They have 3 home games in December. Of course, one is against Pittsburgh, and they'll have Roethlisberger back by that point. But right now it's wait and see mode. But the Bills have definitely hurt themselves in the AFC schedule side of the tiebreaker equation. They've lost to the Jets, they've lost to Miami, and they've lost to Baltimore. So I believe they're 1-3 against the AFC, and that could come back big time to bite them in the end. They still have a game at Oakland, and that's going to be a big game. So what looked promising after the 4-game win streak now looks dicey.
John, will we look back at the end of this season and look at this game against Miami and say that was the classic Buffalo Bills loss? That was the missed opportunity, because as you mentioned, it's the Patriots, and then you're at Seattle, and then following that, after the bye week, you're at Cincinnati. In my estimation as a Bills fan, the opportunity to go 5-2, they fell on their face yesterday, and I think it's going to cost them. Do you see it the same way?
Well, I think all 3 of their losses are going to come back to haunt them, given how those teams have played. I mean, they won the games they weren't supposed to win, be it Arizona and New England, although Tom Brady wasn't the quarterback a couple of weeks back. But you need to beat Baltimore, and that was a winnable game. You need to beat the Jets. You can't give up 390-something yards passing to Ryan Fitzpatrick, and then you can't give up 214 yards rushing against the Miami Dolphins. Yes, this is, in the end, I think the Baltimore loss is really going to hurt them. But this one hurts. This one stings in part because they were on a 4-0 run and looked like they turned things around. But there's several factors, and this one certainly will stand out.
Well, you got New England coming in. We'll see what happens. Hey, they do have a victory on the road in Foxborough. I know and know Brady, but isn't that a day when Buffalo did put some points up on the board against the New England?
They shut them out 16-0.
So there you go. So I mean, we'll see. I will not be picking the New England Patriots or the Buffalo Bills this week. You're not getting me to go there on Friday, Zach.
If I know Brady, I know he is personally that 16-0 loss is a personal affront to him, and he is going to do everything in his in his power to embarrass the Bills, given what happened, 4 weeks ago.
Agreed 100% on that one. John, always a pleasure. Thanks for a few minutes. Keep up the good work with the Associated Press, and I'm sure we'll be back in touch.
Thanks, Roger. Thanks, Zach.
That's John Wawrow, Associated Press beat writer covering the Buffalo Bills.